Imagine waking before the noise of the world, when the air is thin and honest. In that quiet, you decide who you'll be today. Not the market, not the news, not the whims of your moods, you. Ancient wisdom teaches that self-control is not a cage, but a key. It opens the gates to peace, to purpose, and to power under guidance. If you will govern the little kingdom within, your thoughts, words, and actions, the storms beyond you lose their tyranny. Today, I offer 5 truths to carry like stones in your pocket, warm with use, ready whenever your heart begins to race or your temper starts to flare. To master what is yours to command and surrender what is not is to step into the deepest freedom a human can know. Think about the strain most people carry every single day. They wake up already bent beneath the weight of things they cannot bend, what others think of them, how the economy moves, whether the skies will smile or storm. They spend hours rehearsing conversations they'll never have, worrying over decisions already made, or clutching at outcomes no hand could ever hold. In the end, their energy is wasting like water poured into sand. Yet there is another way, a way that feels like stepping out of chains. You draw a line between what is yours to rule and what belongs to the vastness beyond you. What is truly yours? Your thoughts, your choices, your words, your actions. These are the coins you've been entrusted with, the tools placed in your hands. They may seem small, but they shape destiny. When you speak, when you decide, when you move, you carve a path. No other person, no shifting season, no towering power can take these from you. You can be insulted, but no one can make you insult in return. You can be wronged, but no one can force you to act without honor. You can be stripped of possessions, yet your courage remains your own. The ancients knew if you master this inner dominion, you are wealthier than kings. What is not yours? The turnings of other people's hearts, the tides of fortune, the passing shadows of circumstance. You cannot command them no matter how tightly you grip. If you attempt to control these, frustration becomes your daily bread. The wise soul instead loosens their hands. To release what you cannot own is not weakness. It is strength. It is standing in a storm and saying, the wind may blow, but my feet know where they stand. When you surrender these external matters, the noise of the world softens. You hear the steady voice within guiding you where your authority truly lies. To practice this truth, begin each day with a simple act and make 2 lists in your mind. One list is mind to command. Place on it your effort, your response, your patience, your diligence, your kindness. The other list is not mind to command. Place on it the approval of others, the speed of results, the behavior of neighbors, the role of chance. Then promise yourself to spend your energy only on the first list. When a coworker glares, remind yourself their mood is not mind to command. But my calm reply is, when plans collapse, remember, the timing is not mine to command, but my faithfulness to keep going is. This discipline brings a serenity that baffles those still wrestling the air. Most people are enslaved not by chains on their wrists, but by illusions in their minds. They believe control lies in possession, influence, domination. They think only I could make them see, make them do, make this happen. Yet even when they get what they crave, they remain restless because tomorrow always brings something else they cannot capture. But the one who accepts limits and reigns only where rain is possible walks light unburdened. Their peace is not a fragile bubble that bursts at every touch. It is a fortress built on rock. Mastery, then, is not about conquering others, but about conquering yourself. It is a sacred stewardship of what has been entrusted to you. And the paradox is this: when you stop chasing control where it doesn't belong, your influence begins to grow. Others trust you because you are steady. Circumstances may rage, but you do not. You become an anchor in waters where most are tossed. This is the first Stoic truth. And if you live it, you already stand ahead of the multitude, because while 99% fight battles they cannot win, you will quietly win the only one that ever mattered. To rule your inner speech is to rule the atmosphere of your own soul. Every thought you entertain, every silent phrase you repeat, every word you whisper to yourself in secret is a seed sown into the soil of your heart. And just as seeds hidden beneath the earth eventually push through and bear fruit, so too does your inner speech break forth into action, shaping your decisions, your moods, and even the way others experience you. Most people imagine their words are powerless until spoken aloud, but in truth, the most powerful words you ever hear are the ones you repeat silently in your mind 1,000 times a day. If you tell yourself, I am weak, I can't handle this, the world is against me, then your spirit bends under the weight of that story. You begin to notice only what confirms the lie, and your behavior follows the path you laid out in thought. But if you choose, I am strong enough to respond with wisdom, I will not be mastered by anger, I will choose what is noble, then your inner world begins to align with truth and light. Your steps become steadier because your mind has built a firm road ahead. The difference between those who live in chaos and those who live in peace is often nothing more than the dialogue happening unseen within. Imagine your heart as a garden. Your inner words are the seeds you scatter. If you allow bitterness, fear, and complaint to fall daily, your garden will grow thorns and you will live among them, wounded by what your own hands planted. But if you scatter seeds of patience, courage, and blessing, then your garden will grow into a refuge not only for you, but for others who walk into your presence. This is why guarding your inner speech is sacred work. It is not only for your own good, but for the good of everyone connected to you. Guarding does not mean ignoring reality or pretending pain does not exist. It means choosing the story you tell yourself about reality. When difficulty strikes, one person says, "This is the end of me," while another says, "This is the making of me." The event is the same, but the inner narration changes the outcome. By choosing words that strengthen rather than weaken, you transform obstacles into teachers and trials into training. The external world may be harsh, but your inner words create a climate of resilience. One practical way to master inner speech is through the pause. Before reacting to an offense or challenge, pause and ask, what am I telling myself right now? That simple moment of awareness interrupts the spiral of destructive thought. In that pause, you can choose a new sentence, a new seed. This is a test, not a curse. I will not let anger drive me. I will respond in a way I can respect tomorrow. Slowly, the pause becomes habit, and your inner words shift from being wild and reactive to being cultivated and intentional. It is said that death and life are in the power of the tongue, but the tongue takes its orders from the inner voice. You cannot consistently speak kindness to others if your inner world is filled with cruelty toward yourself. You cannot uplift those around you if your mind constantly rehearses despair. Mastery of speech begins within. Train yourself to bless even in thought. When envy rises, bless the success of others. When fear whispers, bless the future with trust. When anger burns, bless the moment with patience. Each blessing plants a seed, and over time, your entire being becomes a garden of strength and peace. Those who fail to rule their inner speech live as prisoners of their own mind. Those who master it become rulers of themselves, free in ways that cannot be shaken by circumstance. And when you stand before others, your words will carry unusual weight, not because of eloquence, but because they are the overflow of a heart trained to speak truth within. This is why ruling your inner speech is not optional for those who seek greatness. It is the foundation of every other discipline. Without it, even noble intentions collapse under the strain of negative self-talk. With it, you gain an authority that radiates far beyond words. And when others wonder why your peace seems unbreakable, the secret will be simple. You ruled the story within before the storm without could ever touch you. To train the will through small, daily disciplines is to prepare your soul for battles before they arrive. Most people imagine that strength of will appears in great moments, when temptation strikes hard or when crisis comes crashing down. They think they will suddenly find the power to say no to destructive desires or yes to difficult duties. But the truth is, the will does not grow in moments of emergency. It grows in the quiet, ordinary choices of daily life. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword long before the battle, so you must train your will in advance through deliberate practice. Your will is like a muscle. Left unused, it weakens. Pushed in small, steady ways, it grows stronger. If you cannot command yourself to rise when the alarm rings, how will you command yourself to stand when fear shouts? If you cannot resist the pull of small indulgences, how will you resist when great temptations come? The daily disciplines are not about punishing yourself or stripping joy from life. They are about creating readiness. They are rehearsals for the hour of testing. Think of simple acts. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator, choosing water instead of the sweetened drink, turning your phone face down when you feel the itch to scroll, finishing the task you dislike before rewarding yourself. Keeping silence instead of joining gossip, stepping into the cold morning air for a walk instead of rolling over in comfort. These are not grand gestures, they are little victories, and each one whispers to your will, I am in charge. With repetition, these whispers become a chorus of strength. You begin to trust yourself. You learn that discomfort does not destroy you. You learn that desire does not own you. The beauty of discipline is not in the act itself, but in the transformation it brings. When you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, something sacred happens inside you. You align your actions with your higher self rather than your lower impulses. Each choice builds a brick in the foundation of character, and when storms rage, you find yourself standing on solid ground. People will look at you and wonder how you resist what they cannot, how you remain calm where they crumble. They will not see the countless small choices you made in private, but those hidden disciplines will shine through you like light through stained glass. Training that will also reshapes how you view freedom. Many think freedom means doing whatever you feel, but this is slavery to feeling because emotions and cravings are fleeting and fickle. True freedom comes when you can feel the pull of appetite and still choose virtue, when you can feel the sting of anger and still choose peace, when you can feel the drag of laziness and still rise to act. Discipline is the road to this freedom, and though narrow at first, it widens into joy. Begin with one discipline, not 20. Choose something small and repeatable. Keep it daily. Do it with intention. Over time, add more. The point is not perfection, but training. Even when you stumble, the act of returning to discipline strengthens you. Just as a tree grows deeper roots with each storm it survives, your will grows sturdier each time you return after failure. In fact, the returning may strengthen you more than the unbroken streak, because it proves your will can rise even when bruised. When the hour of testing comes, and it will, you will discover that your will is no longer soft clay but tempered steel. You will say no when others surrender, yes when others falter. And it will not feel impossible because you've been rehearsing all along. This is the secret of those who seem unshakable. Their strength is not born in crisis, but forged in daily, hidden choices. So train your will each day with small disciplines, and when life demands great courage, you will find it already living in you. To keep mortality in view is not to darken life, but to brighten it. Most people live as if time is endless, as if tomorrow is a guarantee handed to them like the sunrise. They waste hours on trivial arguments, cling to petty grudges, and chase after comforts that slip away like smoke. They live as if their days are coins without number, carelessly spending them without thought. But wisdom whispers differently. Your life is a vapor, a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. To remember this truth is not to be morbid, it is to be awake. For when you keep mortality in view, every moment becomes more precious, every choice more weighty, and every breath more sacred. Think of how you would act if you knew today was your last. Would you spend it scrolling endlessly through distractions? Would you waste it in bitterness, rehearsing offenses from the past? Would you remain silent when love could be spoken? Or would you act differently, speaking kindness, mending broken ties, pouring your energy into what truly matters? The reality is you never know which day is your last. To live as if you do is to rise above the illusion of permanence and step into clarity. When you remember death, your priorities reorder themselves. Petty insults no longer feel worth your energy. Material possessions lose their grip because you realize you cannot carry them beyond the grave. Suddenly, relationships shine brighter than riches, character outweighs comfort, and service towers above selfish ambition. Mortality strips away the false layers of importance we place on fleeting things, leaving only what endures. It is like fire refining gold. The unnecessary burns away, the pure remains. This awareness of life's brevity also instills urgency. Not the panic-driven urgency of rushing without purpose, but the focused urgency of using time well. You begin to ask, what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? What can I say that will bless those I love? What work will still bear fruit after I am gone? Such questions anchor you to a higher vision. You realize that every day is both a gift and a responsibility. It is not yours to squander, but yours to steward. Mortality also humbles the proud. When you remember that kings and beggars alike end, in the dust arrogance loses its appeal. The titles, achievements, and applause that people strive for seem hollow in the light of the grave. But this is not a despairing thought, it is liberating. For if death levels us all, then the only thing that matters is how faithfully we lived, how deeply we loved, and how much we gave. Power and pride fade, but goodness endures in memory, and legacy carries forward in life's touch. Keeping mortality in view does not mean dwelling in fear. It means choosing to live more fully now. It means reconciling quickly, forgiving generously, and loving openly. Because time is too short to do otherwise. It means pursuing your calling with diligence, because delay is dangerous. It means lifting your eyes above the trivial, because only a few things truly matter. When you walk with this awareness, you find peace, not because you have more time, but because you use the time you have wisely. At night, reflect on your day as though it were the final page of your story. Ask yourself, if this were the last chapter others would read about me, what would they learn I valued? What would they see I lived for? Such reflection sharpens your tomorrow. It keeps your life aligned with what matters most. And when the final day does come, as it surely will, you will not meet it with terror, but with readiness. For you will know you live with mortality in view, and in doing so, you live with clarity, purpose, and courage. To live by virtue and service, not by impulses, to build your life on rock rather than sand. Most people are ruled by their appetites. Whatever they feel in the moment becomes their master. If anger rises, they lash out. If desire stirs, they indulge. If fear whispers, they retreat. They believe this is freedom, but in truth it is slavery to impulse. True mastery begins when you decide that your choices will not be dictated by fleeting urges, but by timeless virtues. And when those virtues are directed outward in service to others, your life becomes not only steady, but also meaningful. Virtue is the compass of the soul. It is the set of principles that remain unmoved when emotions swirl and circumstances shift. Courage, humility, honesty, patience, faithfulness, these are not moods but commitments. To live by virtue is to decide in advance the kind of person you will be regardless of how you feel in the moment. For example, honesty means telling the truth even when lying would be easier. Patience means holding peace even when irritation seems justified. Courage means acting rightly even when fear presses heavy. Each virtue is a guardrail that keeps you on the path of integrity even when the road grows difficult. But virtue does not stand alone. It finds its fullest expression in service. A life lived only for the self, even if discipline, grows narrow and empty. Service lifts the gaze outward. It asks, how can my strength shelter someone weaker? How can my wisdom guide someone lost? How can my time, my resources, my energy ease the burdens of another? Service transforms discipline from self, mastery in a world, blessing. It takes the virtues you cultivate within and turns them into fruits others can taste. Living by virtue and service is not glamorous in the beginning. It often requires choosing what feels small, unseen helping when no one is watching, speaking truth when no one applauds, sacrificing comfort when no one thanks you. Yet over time, these hidden acts become the very substance of greatness. They build a reputation of trust, a presence of peace, and a legacy of goodness. People come to know that when you speak, your word is solid, and when you act, your motives are pure. This kind of consistency is rare in a world swayed by impulse, and it gives your life weight, impulse. On the other hand, is a tyrant dressed as a friend. It promises quick satisfaction, but delivers regret. It says, give in now, think later, but the later always comes, and it demands payment. Every time you let impulse win, your will weakens, your clarity dims, and your peace erodes. Virtue strengthens what impulse corrodes. Service heals what self just wounds. The contrast is stark. Impulse builds a life that collapses under pressure, while virtue and service build a life that endures. This means training yourself to pause before acting. When you feel the tug of impulse, anger, lust, Greed, laziness, ask, what does virtue require of me in this moment? How can I turn this situation into an act of service? That simple shift reorients you from self-centered reaction to purpose-driven action. Over time, it becomes instinctive. You no longer need to wrestle each time because you have trained your soul to choose virtue first. The measure of your life will not be how often you followed your impulses, but how faithfully you lived by principle and how much good you brought into the lives of others. To live by virtue and service is to live with dignity, to leave behind a fragrance of goodness that lingers even after you are gone. It is to walk through life not as a slave to passing moods, but as a steward of eternal values. And when you live this way, people will not just remember what you did, they will remember how you made them feel, and that memory will be the truest proof that you mastered yourself by living beyond yourself. To build sacred routines that anchor your day is to weave order into the fabric of your life, a rhythm that steadies you when the world grows restless. Without routines, life becomes reactive. You wake late, rush to catch up, and allow events to dictate your mood. You become like a leaf carried by the wind, tossed here and there by circumstance and emotion. But with sacred routines, you claim the morning before the noise, you sanctify the day with intention, and you close the evening with reflection. Routines are not chains that bind you. They are roots that hold you firm when storms try to uproot your peace. The power of a routine lies not in its grandeur, but in its constancy. Small, repeated acts carry enormous strength. A sacred morning might begin with silence, allowing your soul to wake before your body runs. Just a few minutes of stillness, breathing deeply, reminding yourself of what truly matters, is enough to shift the tone of an entire day. Add a moment of gratitude, naming the blessings that already surround you. Gratitude waters the soil of the heart and makes it fertile for patience and joy. Then, declare your intention. Today I will command what is mine to command. Today I will serve. Today I will walk in peace. These words spoken at dawn act like arrows shot into the hours ahead, guiding your steps before you take them. Sacred routines do not end with the morning. Midday, when the weight of task presses heavy, a brief pause to reset your posture and quiet your mind can transform weariness into strength. It might be as simple as stepping outside for a breath of fresh air, drinking water slowly, or whispering a short prayer for clarity. These anchors remind you that you are not merely rushing through tasks, but walking with purpose. They bring you back to center when the world tugs at every direction. And then comes the evening. Here lies one of the most neglected but powerful routines of reflection. Before sleep, review your day with honesty but without condemnation. Ask yourself, where did I live with discipline? Where did I falter? What lesson is hidden in today that I must carry into tomorrow? Such reflection is a lamp that lights your path forward. Pair it with forgiveness, both for yourself and for others, so you do not carry today's burdens into tomorrow. Finally, end with gratitude once again. For gratitude is a shield that guards your sleep with peace. Sacred routines are not rigid formulas, but living patterns that evolve with you. For some, they may include reading wisdom, writing in a journal, exercising the body, or serving in small ways. For others, they may be woven around family rituals, shared meals, or walks in nature. The form is less important than the faithfulness. What matters is that these routines anchor you in values, not moods, so that even on chaotic days you remain rooted. Without these anchors, life drifts. Days blur and weeks pass with little growth. But when you build sacred routines, each day becomes intentional, each hour purposeful. Over time, these repeated acts shape your character more deeply than sporadic bursts of passion ever could. Just as water shapes stone by steady dripping, your routines carve virtue to the core of who you are. The world admires brilliance, spontaneity, and sudden greatness. But true mastery belongs to those who quietly, faithfully repeat their sacred rhythms day after day. They rise with intention, they walk with steadiness, and they rest with peace. And though their lives may appear ordinary from the outside, within they carry an extraordinary strength, for their roots reach deep. Build such routines, and you will discover that while others are tossed by every wave, you are anchored in stillness, unmoved, unshaken, and ready for whatever comes. The heart of this entire message is simple yet profound. Self-mastery is the rarest and most powerful form of strength. While the world races after control of circumstances, people, and outcomes, the one who learns to govern himself walks in a freedom no storm can shake. By mastering what is yours to command, blessing with your inner speech, training your will through daily discipline, keeping mortality in view, living by virtue and service, and anchoring yourself in sacred routines, you rise above the common patterns that enslave most souls. This is not about pride or superiority. It is about stewardship, about becoming the kind of person who can carry peace into chaos, light into darkness, and strength into weakness. If you live these truths, your life will become more than survival. It will become a testimony. You will stand steady where others stumble, and you will not only control yourself better than 99% of people, you will inspire them to rise higher. The world does not need more people ruled by impulse and fear. It needs more lives rooted in discipline, guided by virtue, and poured out in service. Become that person, and your life will echo far beyond your years.